In this video, in the video series about setting up a camera system on a network, I'm going to configure and initialize a camera on a non-standard network. A standard network is a 192.168.1 network, and that's what all of our devices come with by default. For example, NVRs come with a 192.168.1.108 IP address, and our cameras usually come with a 192.168.1.109 address. If you're a Comcast business customer or have a different non-standard IP address network scheme, then you will want to follow this video to set up and initialize the cameras on your network. So first, I'm going to right-click, go to Main Menu, log into the admin user using the graphical user password. And here first, I'm going to want to go to the network settings to check to see if I have an IP address on that network scheme. As you can see, and in the previous video, we set the NVR to DHCP to automatically get an IP address for this scheme. Now that I have this IP address on my NVR, I can back out of here and then go to the camera setting page. That's on the bottom left of the main menu. In here I can see that I have a camera list. This is the page I'm going to want to be on, so if you're not here, click the camera list tab on the left hand side and then the camera list tab at the top left. Then we can click the search device button. This is going to search my router for any of those IP cameras that I have set up. This particular camera was set to 108 because it was factory defaulted. I'm going to check this. As you can see, I have a red status, meaning that this camera is uninitialized and unconfigured. And then at the top right hand side I can see that there is an initialize button. So first I check this camera because it's initialized, and then I can click the initialize button. Here it's going to ask if I want to use the local password and email. This is the password that's set on the NVR, and the recovery email and questions that are also set on the NVR. You'll usually want to leave this checked, that way your NVR and cameras have the same password, and down the road you're not confused as to why your passwords are different. So I'm going to click Next. Here I can see what IP address scheme I want to set my camera to. For this particular example, again, we want to set it to the main network IP address configuration scheme, and then choose a number between 1 and 254. So I'm going to go ahead and set the 10.1.10 IP address scheme, and I could leave this on 108. However, I'm going to change it just so I keep everything together. So I'm going to change it to 81. If you're configuring multiple cameras at the same time, you could set an incremental value and have it skip between numbers. For example, if I set an incremental value of 2, it would go from 81 to 83 to 85, so on and so forth. For the sake of simplicity, we recommend only configuring one camera at a time. That way you don't get confused, and it allows you to label them after configuring them with an IP address and then maybe a camera number or camera name. So as you can see, again, I set it to a static IP address. I used the IP address scheme. I used the number 81 just to keep things together. And then finally, I'm going to want to change the default gateway to the IP address of my router. This is going to allow this IP camera to talk on the network. So I've gone ahead and set my router to the 10.1.10.1 IP address, and I've reflected that in the default gateway section here when configuring this camera. Now that I've double checked and triple checked that my information is correct and it's the way I want it to be, I can click the Next button. Now this is going to attempt to initialize and configure this camera, and as you can see, after a quick second it was able to initialize, succeed, and modify IP address succeed on this particular camera. Again, if you're configuring multiple cameras at the same time, you want to make sure that they're listed here and the result is a succeed for both initialize and modify IP. I can click OK to get out of here. I'm going to do another device search to confirm that the status changes from a red X to a green check mark. I can see that that change happened. And now I can check this camera and click the Add button. Now that I've done that, I can right click back out, I can right click again, and here you can see that we have video from this camera, and it's on our router network of 10.1.10. whatever. In this example, like I mentioned, we set the camera to 81, camera 2 would be 82, camera 3 would be 83, and so on. Hopefully this video helps you get your IP camera system set up on a non-standard network. Thank you for watching.